not being afraid to share your faith in public and anywhere.
It means being unashamed to share the gospel and say that you're a believer in God and follow His words.
I think it means like being unashamed to explain how you're interacting with God in your heart, and that share it with other people and don't be ashamed of it.
Not being embarrassed to tell people what you believe in.
What it means to me is to be bold, to use every opportunity to talk to someone about the Lord. You know, just a normal conversation, just bring it up. I think that's being bold, unashamed.
In high school, it's a little hard to explain to everybody, but once you start getting people to talk into it, some of them get into it, but other ones don't.
Tell your friends about God. I don't know about God and your teachers.
Praying for people, like praying before you eat. Just being a nice person, not being rude or not lying.
Not really forcing it upon people, but trying to bring it up in conversation and trying to tell them about it and everything.
Well, you can be ashamed by being ashamed, I guess, is hiding your faith, you know, just because you want to fit into a certain crowd, and but being unashamed is not having to worry about that.
When we were singing the songs in the auditorium thingy.
When I had to stand up for everyone to pray, and then I just like felt it, like I felt something, and I know it was God.
Yeah, when they done the gospel, spread the gospel, and when they does the gospel songs.
Well, I guess because I didn't get nervous when I was there, so I kind of felt at ease.
Oh yeah, during the worship service, certain songs, the lyrics, sometimes I couldn't even sing. I just got teary-eyed and choked up, and oh yeah, definitely during the worship time.
The night when we had the real serious time, and I was coming up with the ideas, and I was actually like paying attention and saying stuff in class. Like I just felt like I was actually like participating and learning stuff.
I had several of those, really, when we was over at that Slater Center, and they were giving the Bible story for the little kids, and then they got up and marched around just like they were our youth and the kids, and then before the teens fell down, you know, like they was the walls of Jericho.
You can't do many of the trials in this life by yourself, and you need more than one person, and you need people to help.
I'm getting older. You start playing sports that you thought you were good at with younger people, and they start kicking your tail. That's the non-serious answer, the funny answer, I guess. The biggest thing I learned is that how often I decide that I can't share the gospel because I'm afraid that somebody's not gonna, or is gonna ask me a question I'm not gonna know the answer. So if, I don't know, it's about being unashamed. You're called to share the gospel, and you're called to, if you believe it, if you know it, and if you have embraced it, you're called to live it and to share it. And it's hard to do sometimes when you think you don't have the answers, but your job is not to change hearts. God's job is to change hearts. He's called you to share. So that's probably the big, and not, I mean, I knew it, but that's one thing that really got me at camp.
A little bit. To trust in God more and become a better Christian.
I learned that I was able to conquer my uncomfortableness.
Yeah, I have learned that I need to accept the Lord. Accepting while I was there, and I understood finally everything.
He was unashamed everywhere he went, I guess. Is what my youth leader always told me. She was very joyful.
I always relied on him, but like I didn't actually ever do what I should be doing, kind of thing.
I learned that it's not Christianity wasn't as strict as I thought it was before I became one. Like you can actually you can have fun, but you still have rules to follow. But
we went to rec centers and we sat and played games with kids and talked to them and stuff.
We had 2 different sites, which I was only there for one of them, and we was like tearing down this like lady's house, well, the bad parts of it, and gonna rebuild it, and I got to take a sledgehammer and stuff.
And we went to like we went to the Slater Center like 3 days of the week, but one of them we went to the really big playground, which I talked about one day at camp.
We were working on a house and we got to tear down a porch.
We played with the little kids and we sat down and talked to them and see how their home was and explain God to them and if they were going to church.
Well, the first 2 days we went to an apartment complex and played with little kids. And the next day we went to Grace Place and sorted through bags of clothes. And then we went to another apartment complex and played with kids. And then the last day we went to 2 different nursing homes. In the first one we talked to people, and the second one we played bingo and talked to people.
Our ball pelted me in the face.
So when we were at our little site thing, there was this little girl who comes up and like ran to me and was hugging me. And whenever she seen someone talking to me, she ran up to me and she goes, "Are you talking to them? Because you can't talk to them because she's my best friend." And then like my friends would be like, "Oh hey, what's up?" And then she'd like attack them, like punch them, and yeah.
At camp, I learned that Cody there's more than meets the eye with Cody. Turns out that he can rap like no one's business. That was pretty cool. I thought everyone thought that was pretty funny, especially the first night when he just like spit it out and no one was expecting that to come. That was pretty funny.
Well, before camp, I was still like in my little mood, and even though I'm not as happy as I should be, I'm getting there because everyone was talking to me about how I feel like after my grandma died and how God is still here.
Yes, I am able to communicate with people better than I used to.
Oh no, I've been touched by Miss May Lily. May Lily, she told me that like she had straight Alzheimer's or Alzheimer's, whatever you call it, and she trying to take as much time as possible. She told me she was 70 one time, 80 another time, and 90 another time. But like she consistently, like she would like turn her head and turn back around and be like, "How are you doing?" I shook her hand probably like 30 times. And every time I would talk to her, she would just be like, "I'm glad to see you. God will be good to you. Just stay on his path." I was like, okay.
I would say I always come home from camp a little different. If nothing more than just finding myself praying a lot more often. I pray all through camp for students individually, and as a whole, and for their families. And so when I come home from camp, it's like that practice in me is renewed. So I am praying more now. I wish it didn't go away every year. That's on me. But that is how I come home a little different every year.
We talked about the verses that we had to learn for the week, and we were doing more and more each day to learn about the verses, and it started making sense to me more and more each day.
Well, we read in Romans a lot about Paul. And there's one more, but I can't remember his name.
Well, every day you had to learn. Like the first day was like you're supposed to know what you're talking about. Second day was like embrace it, know it, like know that I can't think of what I want to say. Embrace it, like know it yourself and everything. And then you're supposed to live it, which is like trying not to sin and stuff like that.
The girl that fell off the boat into the water at nighttime and they couldn't find her, and then her dad went and found her. And that's like representing God going out and finding us.
Yeah, that we're on mission here as well as at home or away. That in our daily life, when we go in the grocery store or wherever, we should be on the Lord's mission to do His work.
The one thing that stuck out to me was he talked about when it comes to Christianity and to Jesus and to your faith, do you have casual glances or are you carefully searching? And I think that, again, there's more to that, but that was one thing that I remember him saying again.
The worship, of course, I know it's great here, but among 1,300 kids, youth, students, I mean, it's something special. It really is. To see them, lifting their hands in worship, and not just for a show, but that they're truly praising the Lord. I look forward to that every year, and wish we'd do it more here at church. When we worship. Maybe we will.
Talking to the little kids, helping them go through with Christ, and just seeing how they react with going to church and hanging out with my friends.
Probably some of the kids at my site and some of the people I met in my Bible study group.
The singing about the gospel.
The people. And the music. Because I like the music.
Fellowship. I like being around a lot of people.
I think the one thing that most of us forget about is that we're in this together. It's not only fellowship, but we're all called to the same mission. And we get out and we are in the trenches and we forget that everybody out there is also, all the Christians out there are fighting the same battle and are called to the same mission. So the one thing I love about camp that I think everyone needs to do every year, at least once a year, if not 5 or 6 or 20 times a year, is some sort of retreat where you're just renewed and you are in God's presence with people that believe the same thing you do, to encourage and lift up. And I think I miss that about camp probably the most. And every time it comes back around every year, I'm always reminded of the amazingness of being with God's people.